Hi, everybody. I'm Deborah Martin. Welcome back to the Invisible Matters podcast. This is where I remind you each and every time that we all have strengths and we all have needs. And sometimes we are not aware of some challenges that other people have that are not apparent to the visible eye. Today, we are going to delve into the topic of autism. I have a young man, Eric Carpenter Grantham, and his mom, Linda Carpenter Grantham, who are joining me today. This is Eric's story, a young man who has grown up and become really very successful and productive in life in spite of being diagnosed with autism at a very young age. And so welcome to both of you all. And I want to start with you, Linda. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us, Deborah.
Absolutely. I have been involved in Eric's life since he was 5 years old.
Yes.
And I know you all have been through a lot.
Yes, we have.
And my purpose in having you all here today is really to help other people really experience the journey of a parent as well as Eric, in terms of, Eric, what you experienced through childhood, high school, and now college. So, Linda, tell me about the very, very young ages, even before the age of 1. What type of, I would say, challenges did you have parenting Eric?
When Eric was very, very, very small, still an infant, before 1, some of the challenges for him was he would cry a lot. Sometimes his hands would tremor a lot, and he couldn't sleep because he would wake himself up from his hands trembling. But he would cry quite a bit, and I learned later that that was because he had sensory even at that age, that loud noises, bright lights, and those kinds of things affected him. And so when I took him to Children's National Hospital in Washington, D.C., the head doctor there in the developmentally delayed children's department explained to me that I needed to recreate his birth. And I said, well, how do you do that? And he said, well, you have to swaddle him a certain kind of way in the blanket. Mm-hmm. No bright lights, no loud noises. Keep it very quiet for him. Mm-hmm. When you touch him gently, that kind of thing. So it was different even as a newborn baby for him. Mm-hmm.
And did you even know, had you ever heard about sensory processing before then?
Nope. No.
Mm-mm. And I know when I met you, mm-hmm. Eric was about 5.
Yes.
And you were part of my class for
yes.
parents. And we talked a lot about sensory challenges. Mm-hmm. And so, Eric, I want you just to reflect back as far as you can go and tell us about some of the thoughts and memories that you have just about day-to-day functioning, like learning to tie your shoes, eating. Let's start with tying your shoes.
Well, I really didn't think about this, but I remember times when people used to taught me how to tie my shoes. I didn't really understand how to tie them until, it was confusing because I didn't understand how to tie my shoes. I used to have to ask people can you tie my shoes for me? Because I did have autism. Mm-hmm. I did have sensory. I didn't know how to tie my shoes at an older age. And then, so it took me a lot of time. It took me practice. And I remember that people used to be like, you old enough to tie your shoes.
Right.
But people didn't understand my autism. Mm-hmm. I have autism, so I communicate different. I react different. Mm-hmm. It takes me time to learn things. Mm-hmm. Until I turn 14, maybe 15. That's when I first know how to tie my shoes. Until now, I'm 19 now, about to be 20. And so now I know how to tie my shoes now.
Okay. All right. I said everything happens in its own time for everybody. Mm-hmm. And just to share with people, one of the reasons why some children struggle with learning to tie their shoes is because of they may have fine motor challenges. And so even though the brain wants to do it, right? The fingers don't always do what you want them to do. And so it can be frustrating. It can be frustrating for a parent who wants you to hurry up, tie those shoes so we can get out of this apartment and get you to school. But people don't understand. And I used to say in class, parents, please be patient. Maybe the parent needs to make some accommodations and get up a few minutes earlier because we're going to go through this every morning. Patience is key because you're adding anxiety to the child on top of them trying to figure out how to do it. Then they know that mom or dad is standing over their shoulder, like, hurry up, hurry up. So thank you for sharing that in such detail. I also remember that just the back of shoes used to, you tell me, how did that feel? That it used to bother you depending on how the shoe was made?
I can't really remember a lot of things about that, but I do remember like every time I walk, it felt like something was touching me. So I remember it felt uncomfortable, and then I used to tell my mom about it. And I remember that when she used to bring me another kind of shoes, it felt better because I can wear those. But the other shoes, it felt uncomfortable because the thing kept touching me. So I felt the sensory of it. So it felt uncomfortable by that.
Right.
For me.
So it could be distracting to you. And that's the same sensation that some people experience with labels or tags in their shirt. They feel it rubbing on them. So some parents actually cut the tags out of clothing, or they make sure they buy clothing that doesn't have that because, and it's hard for somebody else to understand, but that can be very annoying. So that's the tactile part of sensory processing. So touch feels very heightened and strong to some people. How about auditory, hearing? Any challenges with that when you were growing up?
Yes.
And even still now.
Sometimes now, when I used to hear loud music, like the speakers, it felt 10 times louder than a normal person would probably say about it. I used to be screaming and hollering, and I used to tell my mom, I want to get out of here. I used to have my hands over my ears, just like it hurt me. It felt so loud. I was like, this is loud. I need to get out of here. And so now I have my headphones on every single time I'm in the Metro Access. So, but I still have that sensory. So it might change. It do change, but it's still there.
You said, Miss Deborah, like when you hear when you hear my phone ringing and I can't hear it.
Because I remember one time, this is how good my sensory is. So one time, I remember when I was on Metro Access and I told my mom, your phone's ringing. So she said, no, it's not. And it was another person inside the van, including the driver too. So, and a couple of seconds later, the phone would ring. And so it was just amazing because my mom asked both of the people who's in there, do you heard the phone ring? And they were like, no, we did not.
But you could. And also, let's talk about food, because I know this is an area that can be very challenging for parents and, well, for any child really. But sometimes when children do have autism, textures, they just don't feel the way they feel for everybody else. And so eating certain foods based on the way they feel, some foods, the color. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I remember my century with food was so different when I was younger. I used to eat chicken tenders and fries. Every restaurant we used to go,
Sickening.
Same thing.
chicken tenders and
Same
fries,
thing over and
chicken
over
nuggets
and
and
over again.
fries. It's just everything just the same. It was routine. When that routine was broken, it used to be frustrating with me. I remember my mom was telling me, taste the greens, taste mac and cheese, taste cream corn.
Yeah, I was trying to get him to eat vegetables.
And salad
But he would
too.
gag, literally gag when he get it in his mouth. The textures were really hard for
I
him.
remember. And also for parents, this is sometimes a situation where, at family gatherings or things like that, other people, may have comments, make that boy eat his vegetables.
Exactly.
Or, sometimes we need to trust that parents know what's going on with their child and not be so judgmental. And if you notice something repeatedly, maybe you reach out to your family member the next time and say, is there anything that I can do to make your child more comfortable? Are there certain foods? Because they may need something different to eat. So those are really good examples of the different types of sensory processing challenges that a person with autism can have. And by the way, they don't go away. You learn to cope, and you may get used to it, so it doesn't seem as strong as when you were little. But like the auditory part, the hearing, so now you know what to do, to cope. So growing up, as a child in school with these types of challenges, that must have been difficult.
Yes, it was.
Do you remember other children, friendships, or people who weren't so nice to you?
I remember that. In elementary school, I didn't have a lot of friends. I used to have this one friend, and I'm still close to her, and we still talk sometimes. And then once I went to middle school, that's really when everything changed. That's when I made friends, and then after high school, that's when I really have changed. And like throughout those whole years, I remember I was bullied because I used to wear Jesus cut my hair, and I will probably bring that back someday. And so I remember this boy said to me, well, I see you got Jesus cut my hair, and he said I am an atheist. So it really shocked me. I remember my mom came to the school, and she talked to them about it. And my mom's gonna make sure,
Right.
everything is gonna get to the bottom of this. And so we got to the bottom of it. He apologized to me, and he still bullied me. And he wrote a letter saying to me, "I'm sorry for what I did. I hope you forgive me," and everything. And to this day, I still got that letter, and I still got bullied in high school. And so, as
By
time,
other people as well?
You want to share
How-
with Miss Deborah about the girl who bullied you?
yeah,
Told you she was going to hit you?
yeah, this girl was saying she was going to hit me, and so was my other friends.
You were ugly. And
Because I was ugly, and she was telling my other friends this, and
they were retards.
and they were retards. I wasn't there at that time when they was calling the retard to them, but one of the mothers called my mom that night and said a bunch of the kids were saying to my friends they a bunch of retards and stuff like that, and so it really hurt them. It hurt me, and
How did you cope with it?
I remember we all have a meeting, and I didn't tell my mom about it.
No, he wouldn't tell me he hid it from me. And I would ask him, Eric, are you being bullied? And he would say no. And then one of his friends that have autism told me that this girl who is not of special needs or in special education bullied him and told him that he was ugly and that she was going to punch him in his face. And I said, Eric, why didn't you tell me? And so he said, well, I didn't want you to be mad at the bully.
Wow.
And I'm like, Eric, I have to protect you. You have to
I was
tell
trying
me."
to protect myself,
From me? From who?
trying to defend myself.
Oh,
You wanted to handle it.
Yes,
yourself.
Exactly. Seeing what I can do.
And that's very commendable.
And not only that, I was just trying to have peace. I wasn't want to fight the girl. I was just trying to have peace and knowing that God is going to work that out.
Okay. I will say to our viewers that most school systems, most counties now have a process online on their website where you can file harassment and bullying complaints if your child is experiencing something like that. An investigation, will take place. And I understand why you wouldn't necessarily want all of that to unfold. Well, let's talk about academics and learning. Reading, math, writing. Do you have a strong area, and is there an area that's more difficult for you?
I have a strong area on all of them. It's math mostly. I'm really intelligent with math, but
Okay.
and I was high honor throughout high school, so I was really good at everything that I did. And so the writing part was kind of confusing for me. Like the teacher would tell me go back and do this, and then I would send it back to them, and then they would say, okay, this is great and stuff like this. And so the more that they tell me what to do, the more I understand it. Until today, I'm doing better with my writing, better with my math, and now I'm in college, and so throughout high school, it really helped me to get prepared for college.
Right. Tell us about college.
The first year was stressed out for me because the routine was broke because I didn't have a person in there to help me.
Paraeducator.
Paraeducator, thank you.
You didn't have. So in college, many students who may have disabilities, they can get accommodations.
Yeah.
But it's very different from high school where you actually have an instructor, really breaking things down for you and teaching you differently. How have you adjusted, with your instructors in college? Do you tell them about your challenges?
Yeah, I do tell them, and sometimes they check on me to make sure I'm okay and everything. And I remember my first year, I was frustrated about everything. It was just frustrating with all the classes and the work and stuff like that. Sometimes I would not understand it, and I still do have that, but it's doing better now. Now I'm in my second year, so I'm just trying to make sure I get everything turn on time, make sure I'm focused on the work, and and it's just an amazing opportunity to even just go to college. So.
Tell me about your first day in college. What was that like?
I was emotional. I was crying. I was just frustrated, and I remember I was telling my mom I kind of don't want to come to college.
Why? Tell her why you were frustrated.
Because I was scared. I was really scared.
So you were actually on campus,
I was at the campus.
and you called her.
I was there.
My mom was
Oh,
here
you were
actually
there.
on the first
Okay.
day because she kept.
I wanted to take
remember.
pictures of him and be excited for him. It was his first day of college. And
It was.
he was.
It was a
different
nervous
experience
breakdown
for him
It was a nervous breakdown for me.
because he didn't have a paraeducator, so he was afraid that he would not be able to comprehend the information the way everybody else comprehends. Because as you know, Deborah, the way that some people with autism perceive information is different from how
Right.
you and I do it.
Yeah.
So that was his fear. So I stayed at the college all day with him.
Okay. And look at you now. You're in your second year. So you worked through it. You learned how to cope. And I know you have so many. It's funny, Eric, because you actually are a confident person as I look at your life right now. So I do think that you have anxiety that's real,
Yeah.
but you also have so many strengths that allow you to push through things. And that brings me to what you have been involved in recently. Tell everybody about Eric's ID law.
Eric's ID law is a law to put a hidden disability logo on the driver's ID. Like, let's say if the police will stop you and they ask for your ID, they always ask for your driver's ID or ID. And so when they see it, if you have a disability like me who have autism, which is a hidden disability, the police will not necarize that. They will know that I'm a normal person. So if they see that my ID have a logo, like a butterfly or a sunflower or anything like that, they will know right there how to communicate with me better. And they will know right there how to not hurt me, not to think I'm not listening to them. And so it's a law that's going to probably to save us so many people.
Right. And this is in the state of Maryland,
Yeah.
where you are pushing hard and advocating to get this passed. And can you explain a little bit about because it's for invisible disabilities.
Yes.
And so you talked about for yourself, it might also be for other challenges, right? Like if somebody is deaf.
Yep. Bipolar, Asperger, any disability. And so the hidden disability butterfly that I would like to use on the driver's ID, it represents hope, peace, freedom, and change. The butterfly represents that. And inside of the butterfly, it's a color that represents all hidden disabilities. And I did this because of my friends who have autism like me, but they will probably communicate differently. They are not, they're going to respect the police, but they're going to be scared of the tasers and the guns going to draw at them. So I'm concerned about them. This is why I'm doing it for them. And I love them, and I pray for the whole entire world who diagnosed with autism and other hidden disabilities to be safe out here who want Eric's ID law.
Absolutely. It's very commendable. And there are how many states?
17 states, including D.C. and Virginia.
That have it.
And they all do have it. And some of them use a code, some of them use a logo, some of them use different things that represent all autism or different hidden disabilities, and so it's voluntary, so you don't have to get it or not. And this bill will be voluntary selection for people who want to get this or not.
Just imagine, I'm just sitting here thinking about the little 5-year-old that I used to see on Saturday mornings, just looking up, smiling. Who knew that you would have such a profound impact on the state and hopefully the world that you live in, Eric? You are such a giving person. You care about other people. And I will say to viewers, this is not easy what he and Linda are doing. It's very political. They've had to step outside of their comfort zones. They've been on some major platforms. You've met everybody under the sun, I think, famous people who really want to help support this. And I just take my hat off to you. I'm very proud. As I said, I know that you have met some really important, famous people, politicians, as well as people who have national platforms. You want to share with the viewers some of those folks?
Yeah, we met Sherry Shepherd on the Sherry Shepherd Show. We met her, and we gained over 1.2 million views on her Instagram page, and it exploded. And we went on The View with Whoopi Goldberg, and that was just an amazing opportunity because I would never thought I was going to meet this amazing woman who had an impact on everything that she did and still do. So I thank them for that, and we not only that, we have a documentary coming out with Mr. Carlos King, who has major reality shows on Oprah Winfrey channel. So we thank him for that, about the journey of Eric's ID law. And so we are super, super excited for the future. That hope for me, my mom.
A lot of supporters, I bet. So we are very hopeful that it will pass this time.
We are very hopeful.
And I know there are some opposers.
It is.
And it has not been easy. So many people say this is common sense. So share a little bit about the naysayers.
So Senator Will C. Smith has agreed to write the bill. He's been super, super, super supportive about this bill.
And Delegate Janelle.
Janelle Wilkins, who is also the chairwoman for the Black Caucus of Maryland. She, oh my God, she's doing so much great work to get this out. And also Delegate Kim Taylor,
who is the co-sponsor.
Yes, they are doing an amazing, amazing job. However, as Eric stated, or you stated, this is a voluntary selection, but we do have some opposers. We see it as labeling. We see it as saving a life. They see it as, certain situations like maybe medical records could be exposed. If a person wanted to go to a club and they have this logo on their ID, that someone in the club could say you can't come in because you have whatever you may have. But that's discrimination, so I don't know how they figure that. But yeah, and the car insurance would go up. They feel like insurance would go up if you get it on your Maryland driver's license. But what I say to that is we should have the option, as me being a parent of a son with an invisible disability who is also an African American male. I should have that option. It should be my choice if I want my car insurance to go up, if I want his medical records to be exposed, or whatever else they think. I should have that option to decide for my son to feel a sense of being safe in the community should they be stopped by the police. So we are praying to get this bill passed.
Yeah, and I think that's the key word, is that it is voluntary. This is not a mandate that people have to share, anything about themselves other than what, the application for your driver's license says. And so it is voluntary. And so I think Eric feels like, who are other people? Why do they have the right to determine whether you can have that accommodation? Because that's all it is an accommodation. And so we are very hopeful that this is going to move forward. And thank you all so much for being here today. I know you all are very busy, so I'm glad you fit me into your schedule. Don't forget the little people.
Listen,
I'm joking.
We want to thank you, Deborah, because you have been a true, oh my God, you've just been there for Eric all his life, from, like you said, the age of 5, even till now. You've been absolutely amazing, being supportive, advocating for him, being a strong pillar in his life. We appreciate you so very much. I mean, just the things that you talked about as far as like his motor skills, and you're right. I used to rush him in the mornings for school. Hurry up and button those pants. Get that shirt buttoned up. The bus is coming. But I wasn't aware. So, we're very grateful to you because you educated us on being knowledgeable about these things. And I knew nothing. So we owe you a lot.
Yeah.
Thank God for you. The other thing I want to say really quickly is when we have the hearing, we would appreciate it if everyone could come and support. We don't know the date yet. We won't know until after January 8th.
Yeah.
But we need everybody to be in that hearing room because we were told by the senator the room needs to be packed with support for Eric's ID law.
I really think it will, because the whole country wants this bill to happen. So.
Well, the whole country need to show up in that room.
And people have reached out to you all from all over the country.
Yeah.
That's right, they have.
Wanting to know, how can we get this in our state?
To be a federal
So
bill.
you all, so once it gets passed, you all still have a lot of work to do.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
Because you want to help other states to move forward. So again, this has been a great conversation. I thank you all so much
Thank you, Deborah.
for allowing me
Thank
to
you, Ms.
be
Deborah.
in your lives.
Thank you.
And to my viewers, this is another personal journey of someone who has grown up with significant challenges. But you see, with advocating, with networking with other people, with parent education, that you can end up like this young man. Eric is phenomenal. He still gets up every morning with challenges, but guess what? He is enjoying life. He is thriving, and that's what Invisible Matters is all about. Just stepping back and being a little bit more aware of other people and what they may be going through in their day-to-day challenges. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and follow, and I will see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.